A lot of people, unfortunately, get stuck in jobs they never have that opportunity. It's always fantastic when somebody's allowed to find ways to flourish.
How do you sustain alignment once you start to grow between business owner, the culture, the team communications?
Getting people from being purchasers to raving fans, because no one will sell your products like your purchasers will if you turn them into raving fans.
How do you help businesses measure or show, true ROI, not just vanity measures, but true ROI of what they're doing in the business and the results they're getting from it?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Marketing Guides for Small Businesses podcast. Today, we're excited to have a special guest, Emma Rainville. Emma is known as the Wizard of Operations. So we're really excited to talk to Emma. I think this is going to be a different conversation than we typically have on this podcast because we focus so heavily on the marketing side, but we really don't talk about the importance of the operational side to make the marketing side successful. So we're really going to be talking about marketing magic meeting operational mastery and how you can turn leads into loyal clients. So with that, Emma, welcome, and we're thrilled to have you today.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me, Ken.
Yeah. So Emma, talk a little bit about yourself and what your current position is and how long you've been doing what you've been doing.
Sure. My least favorite subject, unlike marketers, ops never likes to talk about themselves. I'm Emma Rainville. Perry Belcher dubbed me the Wizard of Ops. I've been in operations for 30 years now. Terrifying to say that out loud, but 30 years now. I absolutely love connecting dots, finding patterns, and making things work optimally, which is essentially what operations is. I particularly love operations marketing because I love marketing. And so, that's kind of me in a nutshell, super high level. I've written a book, Scope, talking about direct response marketing and e-commerce and how to run operations in those types of businesses because it's much different. And I go over basically what operations is because most people think that it's a department, but it should be in every department.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have a super cool chair.
I do have a super cool chair. I wish you could see the whole thing. It's got like this whole kickback situation going on. Spend a lot of time in it, so.
Wow, that's awesome. Emma, I'm going to start with the first question for you, and that is marketing generate leads, but operations really turns them into lasting clients. So how do you bridge the gap between marketing and fulfillment?
Sure. So if I could back up just a little bit.
Sure.
The sad part of why oftentimes leads don't turn into raving fans is because of the sales to delivery process not being identified, understood, and optimized. And so if we start there, I generally don't even need to get into that. Marketing can stay right there because if marketing has their sales to delivery process dialed in, they can use all of that, not only to keep those clients happy, but to understand what we should be selling next and how to optimize our sales funnels by listening to the people that have already purchased our products. Then there's this whole other part of offers that is just so intriguing to me, which is getting people from being purchasers to raving fans. Because no one will sell your products like your purchasers will if you turn them into raving fans. I believe you said you guys were Ignite members, so you've seen Perry and I do this firsthand. We are very intentional about building people who purchase from us into people who adore the product, which is Ignite, which comes with adoring each other, right? So just it really, really important that your users have the experience that they're expecting, plus whether it be a fitness offer, a mastermind, a gadget, or an info product, people should not only get what they expect, but you should blow them out of the water with what you give them, causing them to be lifelong fans of yours or your products or your brands.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, fundamental, is really making sure you have a set of systems in place. And
Well, that's what the sales delivery process is. For those who listen who don't know that, the sales to delivery process is making sure from the moment someone buys and is onboarded to the use of your product, you have SOPs and every single customer interfaces the same exact way with your products because you have all of your systems dialed in. So forgive me for not, to me, it's like a second language.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, it's so important. So Jeff, I think you have a question.
Yeah, so we go back to the intro. You said Perry Belcher dubbed you the Wizard of Operations. Clearly, you don't get dubbed that unless you build a reputation on it. So, what's the story behind it? And, how did you discover your gift for systemizing chaos, if you will?
Sure. It's like 3-part questions, so my ADHD will try not to fire at all cylinders and forget them all. So the first one is, Perry dubbed me the Wizard of Ops because he's a genius at naming conventions, frankly. And I think there was a point in his business, while Perry has always been really good about putting people around him and in place to do a really good job. I think probably his experience with me was different than most because I took a lot of the burden of ownership away from him, as a true COO should. So I think that's how I got the name from him. It wasn't necessarily because of my ability to do great in the realm of operations. I think it was my ability to take away some of the stressors and have extreme ownership over my role, if I'm being honest. What was the next question? I'm sorry.
So we got the story behind the name, and that kind of comes from presumably a talent or a gift for making order out of chaos, right?
Sure.
How did that come together for you?
I am a walking ball of chaos. For those of you that know me, my companies are Shockwave Solutions, Tsunami Enterprises, Seismic Wave Support. There's a reason why everything is a storm, because that is exactly what I am. And I tried to get out of operations for years. I naturally went into it. I started in restaurant management. I started as a waitress when I was in college. And over time, I started taking more and more roles that were operational within restaurants. And then I moved into the HVAC commercial sector and became the CEO. This was my first COO role, and I became the COO of a HVAC company. The whole time I was going to school to do other stuff. And I was using operations to fund massive amounts of schooling in the medical space, which I've never done anything with. So I think there was just this natural progression of, hey, I'm Jewish, obviously I should be in medicine, and let me go and have like this ridiculously expensive education, but let me pay for it. And even in the military, when I was in the IDF, everything I did was operational. And there was a point somewhere where I was just so lost as to what I should be doing. And I was working for a company doing some freelance. I had a full-time job, but I was also doing some freelance work with another company. And the owner of the company, I must have been about 32 years old, somewhere in there. And the owner of the company said to me, like, I was 32 because I was going to school for forensic psychology. I was getting my PhD at Texas A&M. And he said to me, I'm curious, why are you trying to do something else? You're really, really good at this. We've brought in about 8 people to try and get this done over the past 5 years, and in 3 weeks, you've got it. And I couldn't come up with an answer. And so I went home and I really thought about it. And then I kind of just decided, okay, well, I guess I'm going to do this because I'm good at it. And I kind of hated it, kind of loved it. And then right about the time I turned 40, I read The Hard Thing About Hard Things. And then it all clicked for me. It was because I was trying to be both a wartime and a maintenance COO. And then I figured out if I could be a wartime COO and only work with companies that were in total and utter chaos, it's the only way I'm capable of being calm, and I'm the happiest I could possibly be. And I can see everything perfectly in those situations. And it just all kind of fell together in my 40s. And that's when I started Shockwave.
Wow.
And Emma, can you define what that means for people, like a wartime CEO?
Sure. So you have 2 types of executives.
Yeah.
You have wartime executives and you have maintenance executives. Wartime executives build, wartime executives fix, wartime executives scale. Maintenance executives chill, and they make sure that the profits continue to increase and do well, and they make sure that the people are happy, and they make sure the culture's good. But they're just maintaining kind of what you got, and it's boring AF. So that's the part of operations I was hated. And when that all clicked for me, understanding the difference between the two type of executives and understanding that I'm the scale person, I'm the fix person, I'm the build person. And I only focus on companies like that. And I built a company surrounded by people who only focus on that. And we find our clients who are only in that's why me and Perry have been together so long, because that man, all he knows how to do is build and scale. I'll never leave Perry. Our average client, I'm in and out in a year. So understanding the different types of executive and where I belonged was important. And maintenance executives are important too. So let me just go ahead and make sure people don't come at me in your comments. They're very, very important for profitability, for longevity, for brand influence. It's just not my thing. I like everything to be upside down.
Hey, Emma, how you doing? We're talking about operations here, so a couple of things. Can you take a minute to define for our listeners what you mean by operations in the context that we're talking about it right now? And also, why do you think so many founders focus on marketing and ignore operations?
I'm going to ask your second question first, if that's okay.
Sure.
Operations is not sexy. Operations takes thought. Operations takes detailed structure. Marketers are creatives. You can't be creative in detailed structure. You can't be creative when you are thinking through all the constraints you have. So it's just a completely different human. While I love marketing, I am not a marketer, because when Perry sits down with me and says, "Oh, I have an idea. What about this?" No, we're not doing that. I can't even allow him to get out and discuss it with him. Just like, no, we're absolutely like that. That would cause a bunch of refunds. That would cause a bunch of this. So it's just two different psychographs of human, like completely. And I don't think that most entrepreneurs, particularly visionary entrepreneurs that are very heavy into the creative, like operations, because we're naysayers, we're negative Nancys that dim their light. And so it's really hard for them to want to be a part of something that dims their light. That being said, if you can find one that you can vibe with, that you can bring things to, and that can shut up long enough for you to brainstorm with them, you can find magic. And I think that it's really, really hard to pair those two things together. And that's why most visionary entrepreneurs would rather have lower profits, because operations is, Perry literally said the other day we were at Driven Mastermind, and we were talking to a bunch of our guests, and he said, sometimes she's the light at the end of the tunnel, and sometimes she's the chain around my foot with a ball on it. And so it's not sexy. It's not fun. It's not what they have that's powerful, because powerful is creativity, and operations is, while it can be creative in fixing problems, it's not a creative role. Now, to describe what operations is, it is not a department. People who have an operations department, I want to bash my own head up against the wall when I hear that, particularly when it's said by someone in operations. If you want the simple answer to what operations is, it's everything in your business that runs the day-to-day from the sales to delivery process of your business. So it's customer acquisition, it is marketing, it is retention, it is customer service, it is merchant accounts, it is finance, it is all of those things, but it's a part of those things. And it's just if you think about a clock and how there's a cog in the middle of a clock, and there are all these other cogs that need to move, but none of them will move without that big cog in the center rolling. That's all operations is the thing that keeps things rolling and make sure that each one of the cogs know what the other ones is doing.
Yeah,
I could ask you, go ahead, Paul.
I was gonna say that's a good answer, because I mean, I agree with you. Operations is not a department. It's what makes everything else work.
Right. It should be in every department.
And so if I could go rogue, so to speak, ask you a question, put you on the spot here, Emma.
I love rogue.
For businesses who aren't really in tune with operations, but they're starting to get the idea that, gee, maybe we ought to start thinking about it. There's different levels of detail, different places to get started. What kind of thoughts do you have on how you start to integrate ops into the business and kind of change that mindset of that cultural shift?
Sure. So I think like the first thing that I tend to see in the businesses that we work with that don't have proper operations, that move the needle the most for the business. So when we come in, we charge a lot of money. So my first month in, I have to make the needle move on the scale of operations really, really quickly. Otherwise, it's like, why am I going to pay this invoice next month? Because we also create a lot of chaos cleaning things up. So the easiest form of that is bringing clarity to the business. And so how many employees do you have, Jeff, in your business? I assume you have a business.
Yeah, we're small, but operate much larger through some of the networks that we're in and the partner arrangements that we have.
So how many people do you have?
Full time, it's just two. But
Two. And then contractors that work regularly in your business, but part time.
Yeah, not like VA contractors, but like for different aspects of what we do. Ad management partners, creative.
How many?
Different things. Oh, we're probably at any given time working with 5 or 6 other people on different things.
So 7 to 10 people at any given time are working in your business. Mm-hmm. Would you agree that they need to be able to make good decisions for your business?
Yeah.
So if I went and asked all of the people that work in your business full-time and the part-time contractors that are regular for your business, and I said to them, what's the vision of the company and what's the company focused on? Do you think that they'd all give me the same exact answer?
Probably not, because we are compartmentalized and we're doing
I can promise you that they wouldn't. Because if you didn't intentfully do that, it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
And that is actually the thing that will move the needle the absolute most, full stop period, if you do nothing else. And so we have this system, we call it WAVE. We've already established that I have a problem with storms. So we call it WAVE. It's written vision, absolute focus, values driven future, and execution plan. Written vision is where are we trying to go in the next 10 years? And this doesn't have to be milestones. It should never have money in it. It should be very simply a statement of what I'm trying to create over the next 10 years. And then we have milestones that show where we're going to be in 5 years and where we're going to be in 3 years. And then we have what we're committed on this year. If everyone in your business knew exactly what you were committed to accomplish this year, how different would your business look? That one thing alone. Then in addition to that, we have what are we absolutely focused on as a business? We all of us have shiny object syndrome. We all see someone else making money somewhere. We all see opportunities that we're losing every single day. What that causes, though, is for us to not stay focused on what we should be focused on. And that actually does cause us to lose in a big way. The next part is values-driven future. You have an avatar for who you sell to. You need to have an avatar for who is running your business on your behalf, whether it be a customer service agent answering the phone or an email to your clients or a high-level executive. They should understand what your values to your business are. And finally, execution plan. How is it that we're actually executing all these things? What is our meeting cadence? What is our communication channels? How do we make sure everybody's on the same page? And once you do that, everybody's in the canoes, all rowing in the same direction because they understand. They also understand how to make micro decisions. So you're no longer the bottleneck to your business. This seems like such a silly thing, but if you take 2 days and you literally go through, and I sell this, but I also have tons of content online. If you go type it in, you can get it all for free. It's just called WAVE. It's part of Scope. But if you looked up WAVE, Shockwave Solutions, you can get enough information to create one for yourself for free. It would be the most impactful thing you could do for your business for 2026. Hands down, period. Because once everybody understands, that's what operations is it brings an understanding to what we're supposed to be doing, how we're supposed to be doing it, when we're supposed to do it, and what is the delivery method we're all utilizing. And when you can bring that, people just know. I don't need to call you and say, hey, should we sign this contract? Yes, I should sign this contract. This person is providing exactly what I need to create our 1-year commitments, and it falls in line to our value system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hope that answered your question, Paul. The voice beyond light.
Well, somebody has to be weird.
I think we all got you covered on this call.
So Emma, I was going to ask a similar question to Jeff. So what I wanted to kind of follow up on is one, I kind of want to make a statement because I think what you're talking about reminds me of my days in software engineering when I was working in large software projects for the Department of Defense, and we were doing this thing called the capability maturity model. Mm-hmm. There are a set of KPIs.
I'm familiar with it, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I mean I think that's a huge missing piece for marketing. Mm-hmm. Marketing has been too much of an art, and it needs to be systematized. And I keep referring back to that analogy from the software world as I work in the marketing world. But like you said, the one thing that jumped out that you said to me is the word focus. How do you get people focused? Because that's the thing that I know I personally struggle with all the time. Being able to have that level of focus to really get the operational side of things in place is so hard for so many people.
Yeah, and probably because they're focused so hard on trying to get operations in place.
Okay.
Right? So anything forced. The best way that you can get a creative to be focused is to allow them to be creative. So I'll give you some examples. So first of all, if we understand what our commitments are for the year, we can break those down into goals every quarter, right? And so if I give you a very specific goal where you completely understand the definition of done, but you have autonomy to make the outcome happen, how fun does your job become? So if my goal is to take my, maybe I have a monthly membership. If my goal is to take my monthly membership from 1,000 people to 1,500 people, I want to increase it quite a bit over the next quarter. And that's my goal, but I allow my marketing team to sit and rumble on it and debate and curate the means by which we go. We all get committed to the path forward. Man, you'll watch your people soar. But when you don't give them a goal and an outcome and you just kind of let them go, if the answer is increase memberships, that's never going to work. But if I say, okay, we need to increase memberships to 1,500, what methods do you guys want to try to do that? You give them some time to be creative, and then you come in and you shut down what should be shut down, and you expand on what should be expanded, and you create projects with deadlines, and you get people excited about the creative aspects of it. The problem is that people come in, operators come in oftentimes, or business owners or executives come in and say, okay, Ken and Jeff, you guys are going to launch a funnel. The funnel is going to have this messaging. It's going to have this big idea. You're going to sell this thing. This is what's going to be on the checkout page. This is what the back end is going to look like. Go do it. You know what you're going to do as a creative? Anything except that. Feels like jail. But if you come up with the ideas for 4 different sales pages and 2 different maybe a webinar and a challenge, then I can come in and say, okay, this one and this one. Now let's build out a project. And so all you're doing is allowing your creatives to be creatives and be in their zone of genius, and your operators to be in theirs, because they're also not capable of coming up with the funnels and the webinars so you're bringing 2 great minds together, and you're letting them function in their best self.
How do you identify what people's true strengths are? I mean, because somebody may be sitting in a creative role, but they may not really be creative. So how do you kind of suss that out and maybe get them redirected to where they can be the most effective?
Yeah, unfortunately, in my business, because we come into other people's businesses, I'm often gifted friends, family, and the guy's here because he's been here for 17 years, right? The amount of times that I had group of people handed to me and they were simply there because they'd always been there is absurd. And so a lot of times people aren't in the right seats, particularly if they're bringing me in, the business isn't working anyway, right? Nobody's paying my fees because everything's hunky-dory. So the first thing that I like to do is really sit and just ask the person, do you feel fulfilled at the end of the day? I will let them assess themselves. And then, a lot of this comes with experience though, right? People don't have a magic formula. It's a pseudoscience. You gotta first of all read people. If you look at the three of you, your demeanors are all very different right now. All three of you, your body language is completely different. Jeff looks completely out of his mind board. Out of his mind board. Ken looks intrigued and interested. And Ian, I think he's looking at himself. So, but all three of you have very, very different expressions. So in order to understand where you are happiest, I need to get to know you. And I do some pretty, I don't want to call it psychological, but I certainly, I have a degree in forensic psychology, right? So I'm going to meet with you and I'm going to talk to you multiple times and I'm going to understand how your body language is when you're happy, because I'm sure Jeff isn't bored out of his mind. That's probably just his face. That's probably just his demeanor when he's listening intentfully, right? So it just different people are different ways. So I'm going to have conversations like, tell me about the best Christmas you've ever had. Now I'm going to know how your face lights up when you're excited and you're happy and you find things in fond memory. I'm probably going to ask you what was the worst experience you've ever had with a manager. And I'm not looking to hear how much you hated your old manager. I'm looking to see what your face looks like, the way your eyebrows twitch, or maybe the way some people, believe it or not, smile when they're thinking about things that really upset them. And so I'm going to learn that about you. And then when we talk about your job and your role and the duties that you have, I know whether you're feeling negative or positive about things. And how you feel about things is usually what is going to turn into what your best seat is. Not always, but people don't generally feel fulfilled in a role. Usually, not always. They usually don't feel fulfilled in a role that they're not capable of doing. They usually feel like something's missing and they usually have negative feelings about it.
Yeah. Wow. Fascinating stuff. I remember, that sounds a lot like, it's actually a lot better answer than I think a book like Now Discover Your Strengths. But, having tools and diagnostics like that to really challenge yourself and look within to find out what makes you happy, what motivates you, what fulfills you is so important. And, a lot of people, unfortunately, get stuck in jobs they never have that opportunity. It's always fantastic when somebody's allowed to find ways to flourish.
Man, 1/3 of your life is spent working to make somebody else rich. And so as an employer, if you can change your shift in your thinking, a lot of employers think that they're doing their employee a favor by giving them a job. You gave them an opportunity. No, you brought someone on that's going to give you 1/3 of their life. By the way, 1/3 of your life is spent sleeping. Yeah. So keep that in mind for a minute as an employer, that these people are handing you the only thing that they have and probably ever will have that's priceless, and that's their time. And so when you can let people live in their best self, make them feel like they're contributing, and make them feel like they're appreciated for their contribution, you don't ever have to worry about growing your business because they'll grow it for you. Management is a people game. It's not a project game. It's not a product game. It's not a marketing game. It's not a sales game. It's a people game. And when you can learn to motivate, develop, and manage people, your abilities are endless. I actually will give you guys a massive secret. I don't know how to do anything. I can't log in and I can't look at the emails in the ESP. I have no idea how to even log into High Level, which we use for all of our sales pages. I don't know what copy is on our sales pages. I don't know half the time what we're selling. I know the people, and I work really, really hard with the people to keep the people moving on the projects and the places and the things.
Interesting.
Such a good conversation.
Yeah.
Emma, this kind of leads into the question I wanted to ask you, which is, can you share a real world example where fixing an internal system made tangible results better in a marketing campaign?
Fixing an internal system.
Yeah, or just like fixing operationally.
I'm thinking because there's so many. I was trying to think of a really like.
I figured. Yeah.
I was thinking of an aha one. Okay, so this one's actually an interesting one. So we worked with a fitness company some time ago. And one of the reasons why we came in was because they just had, everything was very manual. This is way before AI and automations, by the way. We're talking like 2019, 2020. Everything was done very, very manually and different, literally different. So my job wasn't to change anything in the marketing campaigns because we were selling well. My job was to come in and make the back end work more efficiently. And so we came in, and the first thing we did was they didn't have not one SOP. They were 15 million a year, and they had not one written SOP, which is actually incredibly common in our space. And so we came in and we basically just made things so that every single person, no matter what it was, like I'm going to start with customer service, no matter what it was in customer service. If someone said, I don't want this monthly subscription, I want a refund, they had 23 customer service agents that would answer 23 different ways. We now have the customer service agents answering one way because it's a canned response. So we took 23 customer service agents and turned them into 3 in 2 weeks. But what we learned was the 20 other girls had a lot of knowledge, a ton of knowledge about the products because they had to learn the products in order to type out every single customer service question that they got. And a lot of the questions had to do with the product. How do I do this work? I can't have coconut milk and you have coconut milk in this recipe. What do I do? So they had to learn all these things. And so we started just to see if they were capable of some of the marketing elements. We had the 20 of them each make a bonus. And so we gave 20 bonuses for a $29 product just to see what would happen. We went from 15 million to 50, no shit. And our run rate went to 50 in about 3 months.
Wow. That's so cool.
We fired no one. Everyone got reassigned to different areas of the business, from creating marketing campaigns to creating ads. We would have them film the workouts. And then we would do fast, so they were 7-minute workouts, and we'd have them do the workouts, and it only looked like 32 seconds because we would just do like this, the super fast thing, and they were doing it in the office on their break. So there's no excuse. Yes, I get it. You're a single mom and you work 40 hours a week. You have a 30-minute lunch break. Here's how I do my 7-minute workout and eat my lunch and get back to work before the time I'm supposed to be there. And this is how much weight I've lost. And all these, girls did this. And so it was such a simple thing. But we gained 20 employees that day that we had them already as employees, but instead of being revenue keepers, which is what customer service they became revenue producers.
Wow.
Such a good example.
And then they knew every reason that people didn't like the offer, every disconnect in marketing. So they all ended up in the marketing team. And guess what happened? We got rid of every single thing that people didn't like or didn't understand, or we expanded on explanation by setting expectations where they needed to be so we could go above expectations because they understood it so well. So I think that's probably the one that it wowed me. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Wow. I love it too that what you just shared too shares your heart for people that you've already covered a little bit through this discussion, but just that like you weren't out to get rid of people, you were out to figure out like how can we retool these people to help the business. And
I'm never out to get rid of people. I actually, if you know me, anybody who knows me just assumes that I don't like people, and I kind of don't, to be honest. But I love people all at the same time, which is super, super strange. But I have a huge love for watching people be developed and watching people just be their best self. I just absolutely love that. But I'm never looking to get rid of anybody. Wow, I'm very willing to get rid of people because you have to. Mainly, by the way, for their own good. If you're not capable of doing a job and I don't have a seat for you that you're capable of doing, think about it. 1/3 of your life is spent working. What if you couldn't produce anything for 1/3 of your life? What if you didn't feel like you were meeting expectations for 1/3 of your life? What if you felt unfulfilled in 1/3 of your life? Think about how that affects the 1/3 that you're awake for in the day to day. How miserable of an existence is that? So sometimes letting someone go is a much kinder thing than letting them stay.
It's also not the
sometimes
1/3
you're
of,
freeing them. Sorry, Jeff.
as I say, it's not the 1/3 of your life either. It's the people around them. It's the other people in the business. It's their family and their friends and
Their children, their children that they're interacting with
Their children's
at night
children
with no
you don't know about
patience.
yet.
Right. Now they have no confidence and they're showing their children how to have no confidence. It's very, very true. People don't think about these things, but it's really, really true. Like help people live their best life by putting them in the right seat, even if you don't own that seat.
Yeah.
Ian, you had something, or can I jump on to my next question?
You
Yeah.
jump away. Yep.
All right. So, keeping in the same vein of real world examples and results, one of the things that we struggle with, or at least get confronted with all the time, that we have to spend energy on is ROI, right? And everyone wants to know, what's the ROI going to be from this? So, from an operations perspective, how do you help businesses measure or show true ROI, not just vanity measures, but true ROI of what they're doing in the business and the results they're getting from it?
Sometimes you can't quantify the ROI that you get on something. For example, we just did an event, Growth Hacking Live, under Perry Belcher Brands. We spent a lot of money on that event. And I can assure you we did not make money on that event. That was a fulfillment event. That was let us get our people together and let us really work with them, and let's bring a ton of, I don't know if any of you guys know about this event, but it was a main stage, 3 breakout rooms in San Diego in September, which is like prime time. Everything was incredibly expensive and our tickets were not. And so most companies would take the ROI on that and they would look at how much we spent at the event and how much we made at the event, and they would say you lost.
So you're not doing that again.
Right. But I'd say from an operations perspective, when I look at that, not everything is about dollars and cents. We brought a lot of people into our fold that will buy from us for years and years and years. We brought people into our community that will help our members, speakers and experts, that will help our members for years to come, making our members capable of paying us for a very long time. Everything is how you look at it, and hindsight is not always 20/20. Sometimes you have to look at things at a much larger picture, and looking down and getting the big picture isn't always it. Sometimes it's got to be 3D chess, and you got to be able to see 20 moves into the future what this one move did for you. While you may have lost your bishop, you took their king later. And so that's the first thing I'll say about ROI. For me, when it comes to ROI, the number one thing that I'm looking at is time, consumption, and money. And did we put in what I will get out over time? I'm also not a today person. If you know what second marshmallow means, I am a second marshmallow person. I live for 10 years from now, not today. If I was living for today, I make very, very different decisions for my life, for my kids, for my husband, for my business. I'm living for what Emma Rainville is going to be at 57 years old today. And so ROI is a really, really tough question. If we're talking about ads, still can't do it, because how many tickets did I sell to the event? Does it matter? How many back ends did I sell at that event? By the way, what is my lifetime value on those customers that I brought in? It's probably far greater than any calculation is going to give me in a spreadsheet. Yeah, that's great. Spreadsheet from any controller. And that was a really shitty way to answer that. So sorry, Jeff. It wasn't, I really like direct. If you know me at all, I really like direct answers. But ROI can't give a direct answer, because you really have to understand what you're bringing to your business, what you're bringing to your people, and what you're bringing to yourself years to come when you're looking at things.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that answer. And I think that's consistent with the conversation I try and have, at least with my prospective clients, about there's just so many other things that go on to it. And there's also too many factors that, like you said, it's an impossible answer. So then we lapse back into talking about generalities or, well, based on the current data, you maybe kind of should, but things are constantly changing. But I want to go to another thing that
Can
you
I
said
go
when
back
you
for
were
a
talking-
second?
Oh,
Can I
sure.
go back?
Yeah, absolutely.
This goes back to understanding where you're trying to go and having it written. Because if Perry Belcher didn't have that and we said, okay, technically we lost X amount of dollars, I can point to, here's our vision for 10 years from now, but let's look at our milestones at year 3. At year 3, we're definitely going to have this thing that's going to produce this amount that you want because we did this today. And so when you have a clear path forward, this is exactly what I was talking. When you have a clear path forward and you understand what you were supposed to be accomplishing along the way, it's a lot easier to measure ROI.
Yeah. No, I think that goes back to what you're saying about, playing a strategic three-dimensional chess game, playing for the long game. And my follow-up question would be, do you think in general terms, which are always unfair, but in general terms, do you think business owners today in the current environment are thinking too narrowly? Do you think they have that longer-term view, or
Oh God, visionary entrepreneurs are thinking about this second, right now, right this second, all the time. And that's okay. It really is, as long as you have someone in the business thinking about the long term, which should be your operator. If you don't have an operator, then you need to learn how to think in that long-term mindset. But visionary entrepreneurs, everything is but gratification right now, right this minute, not long-term consequences. And it shouldn't be, because visionary entrepreneurs are supposed to be the creative. They're supposed to be the dreamer. Here's the thing. You don't get to the places that the people who have gotten to massive success. So Grant Cardone, I don't know why I can't think of one person right now. Jeff Bezos. Do you think Jeff Bezos thought that starting his book business in his garage was going to bring him to the level that he's at today? I'm sure, never thought that he'd make the amount of money he paid his ex-wife to leave. So you have to have a couple of core things. One, you need a lot of gratification right this minute. 2, you need to be an absolute narcissist. You have to be completely delusional to believe that you can do the things that they are capable of doing in order to even gamble to do them. Think about it. A sane person would never say, I'm going to be a Qasim Islam, perfect freaking example. I'm going to wake up today as a high school dropout and build a $500 million business. In a couple of years, I'm going to exit and become, at under 40 years old, one of the greatest marketing minds of my time. No one sane ever woke up and said that. That man said that, about 6 years ago to himself. And look what he has become. He built Solutions 8 plus about 4 other businesses that he exited from, and made hundreds of millions of dollars. And now he's on the next set. I think he's got like 12 more companies, and 2 of them are well on their way to 100 million. No average Joe ever did that. No long-term thinker ever did that. But you couple a big dreamer with a strategic planner, and what you will get is unbelievable magic. That went off the rails a little bit. Sorry, Jeff.
No, the off the rails is where we get the best stuff usually. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a good answer, because it's, a lot of businesses, they don't even know what the lifetime value of their customers are. And if you don't know that, you can't begin to measure.
No one knows that, Paul. No one knows that. They know that about as often as they know the vision of the company. Nobody knows that. CLTV over 6 months per product, per traffic source is what every single business should know. Within 30 days of coming on a business, I know that number, and I know it so well I could tell you it without having to look it up. It's crazy to me how many people don't know. You're absolutely right. But you know what happens to the person who fixates on that? They don't dream very much. They don't dream very much.
So, question I had, I think we've kind of already answered this, maybe indirectly, but why is it so dangerous for entrepreneurs to scale their marketing without scaling their back-end systems?
Let's see, refunds, chargebacks, low to no profitability. This is when you don't scale your back end, this is disastrous. So I'll talk about another different fitness company we came onto during COVID. All these fitness companies that were online selling VIP coaching to small groups in the thousands all came out with these low ticket offers, right? And companies that were doing, six, 700,000 a year turned into $100 million giants almost overnight. I can name several: Superhuman, V-Shred. I'm not talking about either of them. I wouldn't be able to do that, but you watched it happen in 2020, right? Well, there are tons of things on the back end that have to happen when you go from servicing 10 people to 10,000, from 10,000 to a million, from a million to 10 million. There's middleware that will break, and none of your members areas will work. Your members areas won't function if a million people log on to your Go high level free membership account, right? So there's customer service inquiries will come in, and you won't have enough people to answer them, which will cause chargebacks. So it is absolutely disastrous. And I could go on literally for hours of all the things that I've seen go wrong when people scale their front end, but don't scale their back end, and figure they'll scale their back end once their front end scales. But once that money starts coming in, there's not enough time to slow down to do any of that. So you need to have, I always call it a growth plan. But here's the part that I'm going to bring back: the people. No one ever fucking has the part to build their people up. So they have all these people who help them build this business, but they're not developing them at the same rate that they're developing and growing the business. And then they're incapable of running the business. So what ends up happening is the business either completely fails because they don't have the know-how or the ability to run a company like that, or they all end up getting fired and you lose all of your tribal knowledge, and then you have a bunch of executives come in that have no idea the history, which also creates a disaster. So you should have a growth engine for your tech, for your customer support, and for your people. That's all you need. You don't even need to figure it out for your products, because they will. As long as you have that, they will. And as things grow, how is our inventory? Do we have the ability to source this to increase the dollar amount, to increase the product numbers that if you have supplements and you're selling 100,000 units a month, and suddenly you go to selling 100 million units a month, you may not be able to get the raw ingredients. So your people plan handles that. Your tech plan handles the fact that, if you have your videos on Wistia, they may not, and you don't have the right middleware, they may not be able to even play your video if you've got too many people watching at once. So great job. You're now spending $1 million on Facebook, but nobody can watch your video because it's broken on the back end because you didn't have your tech growth plan. So people, tech, customer service, finance, meaning merchant accounts and customer service, and you'll be good to go.
So Emma, one of the things that I think is really interesting in what's going on and what's becoming possible at a greater level than we've been able to see before. You mentioned the example of going from 20 some odd customer service reps down to 3. What's great about some of the things and some of the ways you can deploy AI is that you can institutionalize information if you train it properly. So can you talk a little bit about that and still balance that, by maintaining the human element? And I think everybody who thinks about AI is so worried that AI is going to replace jobs. It will,
and it should. And it should.
So how do you help transition, as you talked about some of those examples? Is there a process that you kind of go through for that?
Let me just go back and define what you just said. Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to go back and define what you just said, though. AI is never going to take a job from anyone, ever. People who are empowered by AI will be taking the jobs of people who are not empowered by AI. That is what is going to happen. And that just is. Jobs that needed 10, 15, 20 people will need one person. Some jobs that needed 100 people will now need one person. So if you want to come out on what I believe is going to be the greatest massacre of human livelihood we have ever seen in written history, if you want to come on the other side of that, then you need to empower yourself with AI. I wanted to say that because I wanted to definitely quantify how much I believe in AI. Now I'm going to tell you that using AI for customer service solely, which you can, is foolish. It does a better job most of the time than most humans. It sells better. It retains better. It never puts people on hold. It never gets sick. It doesn't have a bad day. But there's something that will never be, and that's connection and rapport. And so there does need to be some human oversight, particularly depending on the demographic you're selling to. If you're selling to 40 plus, then we're going to want a human being to talk to when we're pissed off about something. Mainly because we grew up yelling at each other and we want to yell at somebody. Then you can't yell at AI. It gets confused. I've tried, believe me. And also fuck you, Delta, for putting in nothing but AI tools when I say that I'm upset. But so you do need the human element. That being said, I think that you should always have the choice to your customer. That is my belief system. Yeah. You will find that 75% of people will pick AI. Yeah. Would you like to try and use our AI agent to solve your issue, or would you like to hold for a customer service representative? The reason why I say hold, because I'm never going to have anybody hold, by the way. My rule is 2 rings you pick up. And if you can't do that, then we need to discuss how many more people we need to get in here. But I say that so that they'll pick AI, because usually it's a very, very simple problem that can be solved by that. But the human element's important. That being said, AI doesn't make mistakes, and you can train it really well to answer questions. What we do is we not only empower our customers to use AI, we empower our customer service agents to use AI. So in real time, AI is listening through autonomous agents. So if Ian were to call in and he were to say, hey, I bought such and such product for my marketing engine and I can't figure out how to use it, blah, blah, blah. Now, my customer service agent probably knows nothing about marketing, probably has no ability to help Ian, but my AI agent who's listening to the whole call has a screen in front of my customer service agent, or my customer service agent can say, great, Ian, can we walk through the elements of your course for one moment? And all she's doing is reading what AI told her to. Did you understand 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Okay, you didn't understand 2. Let me walk you through that. And by the way, AI is listening the whole time and just giving her what to say. Did Ian need to talk to Christine to have Christine read what the agent? No, absolutely not. He could have just used AI. But he felt comfortable and he felt rapport. And guess what? He's going to be a loyal customer now. So there has to be a balance, I believe. And there's a lot of people who don't agree with me, by the way. Perry Belcher is one of them. But I've spent a lot of years in customer service, and I do know what good customer service does to building a brand. And I know how important customer service is to building a brand and to my business. And by the way, when you call customer service for a product that you bought of Perry Belcher's, Ken, if they say to you, you can't have your money back, wouldn't you say Perry said I couldn't have my money back? Perry wouldn't give me my money back. Are you going to say Christine, the customer service agent, bitch, didn't give me my money back? No, you're going to say Perry Belcher didn't give me my money back. So you want the human element there. And if AI is trained to give the money back or not, that's all it's going to do. Because that's what you trained it to do. Where Christine can say, you're clearly getting very upset. You don't want to hear any more on how you could utilize the product. I'd like to go ahead and either offer you a full refund or credit for this other product that I think you'd really like.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some things AI just can't fix yet.
I think that that's debatable. I think that when it's powered correctly, I don't know that there's much that it can't fix.
It's probably an implementation issue.
And there are lots of implementation issues. And there are going to continue to be implementation issues. But when you have the human behind the whole thing being the conductor or the orchestrator of it, you can course adjust a lot easier than if you just have AI going rogue. Have you ever gone into ChatGPT and asked it a question and it gave you the wrong thing, and then you tried to get it to fix the thing and then it broke everything else too? That's a prompting issue. That's a you problem. But AI is broken. And if the person on the phone doesn't know how to prompt it, that's not their job, by the way. They're calling to get a freaking refund. It's just going to go off the rails on them. So, and how can you train AI for that? It takes years of it learning from its mistakes, right? So...
Yeah, sometimes I go into ChatGPT and try and make it screw up.
I talked to ChatGPT more than I named him Lester. I talked to Lester more than if you took every single human that I speak to and you combined the amount of time that I talk to them, I talk to Lester more. Probably by far.
Ian, you ready?
Sure. I don't know if you're going to like this question, Emma. I'm curious, but what are some of your favorite tools and automations and processes that make scaling smoother for small teams?
Actually, what really works for small teams is going to be that age-old everyone answer. I wish I had like this magic thing so I could sound really smart, but I really believe for small teams, ChatGPT projects is hands down the best thing to use, period, 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 period. I love, love, love projects, and I don't think people even understand how to use it properly. So I can go into projects. I don't know if you know this, Ian, but I can go into projects and I can train projects to be an expert on anything I want. Give me a role in your business.
Sure. Let's say social media manager.
Perfect. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper than that, and I'm going to say Instagram, because you should have one for each, because there are different rule sets for each one. So we'll say Instagram. So I want to create an Instagram expert. So the first thing I'm going to say is, hey, ChatGPT, who are the 5 people that are experts in Instagram that know the most? And it's going to give me those 5 names. Then I'm going to run deep research on their frameworks and their content they have taught on Instagram. Then I'm going to take those 5 deep research PDFs that I've just created, and I'm going to put it back into ChatGPT, and I'm going to say, hey, ChatGPT, what contradicts out of these 5? Should I remove it? Or how do I make sure that I'm creating a project? How do I make sure that they don't cross each other and cause confusion or conflict? Then that's probably going to eliminate some of what's in the PDFs. I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to feed that all into projects. Then I'm going to go back into ChatGPT, and I'm going to say, hey, Lester, I want to create a social media powerhouse for Instagram. My social media project for Instagram should first be able to go using what it knows about best use cases for Instagram and everything it knows about me and the messaging I'm trying to get across. Insert messaging here. In this niche, insert niche here. For this demographic, insert demographic here. And should be able to create a content calendar. From there, it should be able to create placards, video scripts, whatever. I'm going to then take all of, and then post. And then I'm going to take all of those things and I'm going to put them in my SOP creator. And I'm going to create SOPs for each thing. I'm going to put that all in the project. Then I'm going to go into projects and I'm going to go in agent mode. And I'm going to have the agent go and create for me a content calendar for the month of November. And then now that I have the content calendar, every day at 8 o'clock, I'm going to need you to go in and post the 8 o'clock reel. Every day at 1 o'clock, I need you to post. It's going to tell me to post 5 times a day. That's what everybody's saying right now. So I just happen to know that. So it's going to tell me the best practice is post 5 times a day. And then it's going to go and create those posts every day. And then my social media manager, because it knows how to post from my computer, by the way, which is important, from my computer is going to post in Instagram the entire strategy that it created. So all I'm doing is I've got a window on the side of my computer, and all day long, as it's supposed to, it's just going to pull what it's supposed to be posting on my Instagram. It's going to create the prompts. It's going to go in ideogram. Like, you have to create the SOPs to do each step. So, okay, here's the text. Now I'm going to take the text. Give me an ideogram prompt. Now you're going to take the ideogram prompt. You're going to log into ideogram. You're going to give ideogram the prompt. You're going to, or Sora, here's the video script. Go into Sora or Syllabi or whatever and create now download the video. Now upload the video. Does that make sense? So you got to give it step-by-step instructions, but it can be running. I have right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tabs right here to the left of me. I have 3 huge screens in my office. I have 1 big screen to the left. I have 6 tabs to the left doing work right now that I used to pay people in the Philippines to do.
That's amazing. Emma, you just gave a master class. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
It's awesome. No, really.
Yeah.
I think this is a lot of value for our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but that's what operations is, right? How do I effectively, efficiently, and most profitably perform X?
Yep.
Yeah.
But back to your question, that is my number 1 tool for all. And by the way, projects, nobody ever used projects before because you couldn't share it outside of your team. So if you wanted to share something, it had to be a custom GPT. You can't use agents in custom GPT, so it's all garbage. Everything that I'm talking about is very new. And if you have an M chip computer, which is a Mac, if you don't know, and you download Atlas, I can't tell you why. I can't. I can tell you though, the agent mode works so much faster in Atlas than it does in Chrome or Safari. I've tested it 1 window, 2 window, 3 window. It zooms through Atlas. I don't know why, because all it is Chrome, by the way. But it zooms through. And it doesn't get stuck as much.
Wow. So Emma, we're coming up on an hour. I want to be respectful of your time. I know Jeff, Ian, and Paul have a couple more questions.
Let's rapid fire. I'll try and keep it briefer.
Yeah, let's do rapid fire. So Jeff, to you.
Yeah, well, I don't know if this question is rapid fire, but feel free to defer. Smartest way for founders to align marketing goals and operational capacity?
Wave. 100%. I don't even need to answer that. You can go back and listen to my answer before, because you have an understandable, you've planned your year. You know what's happening. Yeah. Everybody understands their initiatives and their goals. And again, operations is marketing. Operations is customer service. Operations is finance. Operations is retention. So having that wave and being able to be aligned on what we're trying to accomplish for the year 3, for year 5, and everybody believes in the vision and everybody believes in all of this. We know what we're focused on. We know what our values are, and we know how we execute and how we communicate. Sky's the limit there.
And Emma, how do you sustain alignment once you start to grow between the business owner, the culture, the team communications? How do you keep alignment there? Because it starts to get into something that you love, which is chaos, right?
Never that for this. Vision is very important to not be chaotic. It's the only thing that should never be chaotic. It should be very clear, understood, because it makes chaos very, very doable. And, sometimes our decisions are, between, but at the end, I need to figure out which one me the least. And that can be really hard sometimes. I hope I can swear on this, by the way. I forgot to ask at the beginning. I usually ask. You may have a lot of beep outs, but anyway. Just to kind of go back to what you're saying, it's just like, man, it's if we're aligned, if we're truly aligned in what we're trying to accomplish, the rest of that really, I'm telling you, it falls into place. The answer is having everybody in the same damn canoe rowing in the same direction. That's a short answer, but
shared vision.
Yeah, and if you have the proper SOPs, then as you're bringing on more
your
people,
SOPs will never be proper. Get over that. Perfection is never the thing.
Well, sure, but if you have a robust set of SOPs,
but if you have a robust set of SOPs, you have a well understood execution plan for your goals and your commitments, and you have a team that's all aligned, and they admit that they understand it. Every onboarding includes that. So it doesn't matter whether I have 1 or 50 employees in, because every onboarding includes that. My execution plan says that we have a breaker. We call it a breaker because it's taking a break from working in the business to on the business. We have one every single week, and all key members have it with the CEO. And then every key member has it with their departments. And we're reviewing every single time our wave. What is our written vision? What is our absolute focus? What is our values-driven future? And how do we execute? And when you do that, it doesn't matter how big you grow. Everybody understands it at the core. And I can promise you, no matter what business I work in, whether it be Scale One with 300 employees in it, or it be Shockwave with 11, they all know it. And they all know it well because we review it regularly. And some of those people at Scale One have never had a conversation with me and never will, but they know my vision for the company.
Yeah. So if a small business owner could do one thing this week to make their marketing operations work better together, what would you tell them?
Wave.
Yeah. Same answer. And it doesn't have to be Wave, by the way. Wave is mine. There are tons. Wave is a foundational operating system, just to be clear for a minute. You have an operating system, which is Scope. Scope is setting your vision, create processes, operational excellence, people development, and execution. Setting your vision is Wave. It's basically the first step to an operational framework. So you have that as a foundational framework. But for foundation, you have EOS that has traction. You have Scale Up. You have if you typed in operational frameworks or you typed in foundational operational frameworks, you'd find 10 of them. Doesn't have to be mine. Put anyone, Vivid Vision, Cameron Harold. Probably need to take some mushrooms before you read anything from Cameron Harold, but there's tons of them out there. So go find the one that aligns with you the best and sit down. Those 2 days of planning will bring you years of peace, I assure you.
Emma, this has been fantastic. You've given everybody so much to think about, and also, some really good initial steps to get started. So, before we go, how can listeners best connect with you, and what would you like for them to do?
Sure. I have a book if you're interested. You can get on Amazon. Or if you just want a whole bunch of free content, Perry Belcher and I have a podcast called Trainwreck. I have a podcast called Special Ops. If you're interested in legal, I have another one with Ryan Poteet called Marketing on Trial, where we talk about operations and lawsuits and direct response in e-commerce. So I'm out there. You can follow me on all the things or one of the things. And I really do very much like sharing my knowledge. There are plenty of people that pay me. I don't need to get paid by everybody. So I have a lot of fun just sharing what I know and swapping stories.
Awesome. Thanks, Emma. Ian, you want to go ahead and take us out?
Thank you, Emma, for joining us today. This was fantastic. I loved the conversation. And thank you to our viewers and listeners for joining us. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Check out Emma's resources. And if you have any ideas for podcasts that you want us to talk about, please don't hesitate to send those to us. We love hearing from you. And until next week, folks, keep calm and mark it on.